Hello, hello! Today I'm coming to you from nature because I want to invite you to start nature journaling. What is a nature journal? It's a collection from memories and inspirations from nature, and it's usually in a journal or in a book or something like that. By the way, if you want to make this kind of journal, check out my Skillshare class. I got everything about it on there. But if you want to make nature journal, it's usually a collection of drawings and writings, and we usually add a date when we were and the place where we were and when we did what we did. The point of nature journal is not to make a scientific illustration. The point of nature journal is to remember the time you spent in nature over time and to share those memories with the ones you love, whom you show your nature journal, or even online if you're inclined to. So what you'll need for nature journaling? Well, it's a very inexpensive hobby. You basically just need a journal of some kind or notebook of some kind, and this can be made from recycled materials and it works just fine. I'll go into more detail in a special surprise I'm preparing for you next week. For now, let's see just the basics. I carry everything in this little pouch that used to hold baby onesies, as I mentioned in my travel bag video, and basically they're very similar supplies. To start nature journaling, you don't need much else except from the nature journal and a pen or a pencil. But of course, if you want to take things further, or if you want to know what kind of supplies to need, I'll give you some ideas. To start off, all you need for nature journaling actually is a nature journal and a pen or a pencil. You can use normal pencil like this one, it's really small, or you can use a mechanical pencil that you don't have to sharpen, but some people don't like them because they leave a bit rougher mark. As for the pen, many people, including John Muir-Law, that I really like, his channel, recommend just a basic ballpoint pen. You can get it everywhere and you can make a bit thicker or thinner line with it depending how much you press. I personally haven't mastered that tool yet. I never liked ballpoint pen. I always used fountain pen when I was in school, so I prefer these fine liners. These are from Faber-Castell. Stadler also makes nice ones. I don't like microns that much, but some people really love them. For me, the nib just wears out too quickly. Then, if you're anything like me, you'll also want to color your drawings. Some of us really love color, and my preferred choice is a small set of watercolors. You will need some kind of a brush and water, or a water brush to go with it. It's practical to have two sizes and also to use one to color and then the other one to blend if you want to blend with water. And of course, a nice little small rag also comes in handy. If you're not into watercolors or just don't want to bother with them, a small set of colored pencils works just great. This one has different kind of colors at one side than on the other. And this way you can have just 12 pencils and you get 24 colors, which is really nice. Now let me show you how I do one page. I'll do that in my studio because it's a bit easier to set up everything. First, just to show you that you can do other kind of stuff in your nature journal, and then I'll take the same materials that I showed you before and some natural materials that we collected in the woods, and then I just start sketching. I sketched everything with pencil and I sketch very loosely, so apologies for my sketches being really rough and not very refined, but that's how I prefer to do it. Then I grabbed my fine liner and I just went over my sketch lines in more detail. Sometimes it's easier to sketch or to draw when you turn the paper. That's why I did that there. If anything is unclear or you just want to say hi, leave a comment. And now onto the pine cone. It's very easy to draw actually. You just make kind of these rough shapes one in another. and to draw this piece of bark. You would think these kind of things are very difficult, but we don't get these details so ingrained in our minds, so they can look much more clear and right than some other details like on the face or on an animal that we know very well. So don't be afraid or shy to try nature journaling with these kind of organic objects. They're usually the easiest to draw. Here I'm preparing for my coloring, so I have to mix up the right shade of green for my fern. And to tell you a well-known secret, the greens you get in a set are usually way too bright and totally useless on their own, so it's much better to mix them up yourself. I take the remade greens and just dull them down with some brown or Payne's gray or with the opposite color like I did there with violet. It doesn't matter particularly which color you use. If you use any of the warm colors, it will probably dull down the green a bit and the shade will look much closer to the real thing. For the bark and also for the pinecone, I start just with a base layer of light brown wash, and then I add more details into that still wet wash so that the lines get a bit blurry and the texture is not so rough. If you want to add more rough texture, then you can do it later when the first layer is dry, and you can also try with dry brushing or use some kind of tool like or sponge or something like that. I didn't bother with this here, but I have bothered with the shadows in the pinecone because I wanted to get the sense of depth of these little parts. If you like this video, let me know. It means so much to me. And subscribe to my channel so you'll help others find it too. Thank you so much. For the bark, I just mix a wash of light, very desaturated brown color and add some in different areas. And I also take care not to use the same kind of brown in all areas. If you look at my reference bark there are many different shades of brown, and some are really light and almost white, and some are really saturated reddish browns inside. So be sure to represent all the variety of colors. And don't worry about getting the shade perfectly right. I've seen some marvelous pink drawings of gray mushrooms. And here's my finished sketch. I hope you liked it, and I hope you get into nature and maybe make a small little sketch somewhere. See you next week.